If I'm not honest about what my problem is, if I don't face it and look at it, the truth of it, and not kind of obfuscate and make it something else, it'll become this amorphous blob that seeps into every cranny of my life. But if I recognize it and I'm honest about it, it stays static.
Welcome to On Brand. This is a special edition of On Brand. This is one of our greatest hits episodes for the holiday season we're celebrating. And we're going to kind of replay our first interview that launched the show with Michael J. Fox. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite interview. You know, Michael, of course, is one of the most prolific actors of all time. He's won 5 Primetime Emmys, 4 Golden Globes, 2 Screen Actors Guild, and a Grammy. Of course, we know him from Family Ties, we know him from Back to the Future, so much stuff. And we probably best know him, most importantly know him as the face of Parkinson's. Michael got Parkinson's at a very young age and has kind of dedicated his life to being the face of it. His foundation has raised over $1 billion to fight Parkinson's. And he's one of these guys that, his brand is the ultimate brand of hope and optimism. He talks a lot about it in this interview. He talks about everything from what makes his marriage work to how he deals every day. And if you really, please listen to this because it's really important. Michael's a personal friend of mine, and I know it, and I travel with Michael, and I see Michael, and I see the way that this heinous disease affects him. But I see the way as a human he manages it and turns every negative into a positive, and really thinks he was put here for this purpose. And there's never any self-pity. And he's obviously got his tremendous challenges as he goes through. In the interview, he's going to give you a lot of interesting stuff about his early acting career, about growing up in Hollywood, and talk about being a dad, and we talk about our friendship. But most of all, he talks about overcoming obstacles and living with Parkinson and being a hero to the American public. And if you ask me what his brand is, he's one of the true great American heroes. So here is my interview with Michael J. Fox, brand hero, brand optimism. Here's Michael. Okay, I want to talk to you about GiveWell. When you give to charity, how much impact will your donation actually have? This question can be hard, if not impossible to know. Most charities can't tell you how your money will be used or how much good it will accomplish. You may know it theoretically, help a cause, but how? Or more importantly, how much? You want to help people living in poverty with evidence-backed, high-impact charities? I recommend you check out GiveWell. GiveWell spends over 20,000 hours researching charitable organizations, and they want to find the few that have the highest impact, evidence-backed charities they found. Over 50,000 donors have used GiveWell to donate more than $750 million. Evidence suggests these donations save tens of thousands of lives and improve the lives of others. Here's the best part. GiveWell is free. Wants to empower as many donors as possible, so it's free. No sign-up is required. I'm telling you, they allocate your tax-deductible donation to the charity you choose without taking a cut. This is simple. If you want to donate money and you're not sure exactly where, but you want it to go to the best charities that are using it, the most efficient ways, go to GiveWell. If you've never donated to GiveWell's recommended charities before, you can have your donation matched up to $250 before the end of the year or as long as matching funds last. To claim your match, go to givewell.org and pick podcast and enter On Brand with Donny Deutsch at checkout. Make sure they know that you heard about GiveWell from On Brand with Donny Deutsch to get your donation matched. The news reports don't lie. Hiring in this climate is tough for business. You need help staying on top. If you're hiring, you need Indeed. I want to say this again. If you're hiring people right now, you need Indeed. Indeed is a hiring partner that gets you what you really want, a short list of quality candidates as fast as possible because you can do it all. Attract, interview, and hire all on Indeed. Don't struggle on your own to find quality candidates. Indeed can help you hire the right people right now. Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process so you can find talent with the skills you need through tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Listen, Indeed makes it easier for star applicants to shine with over 135 assessment tests from cooking to coding. Pick what skills are important to you from over 135 of these tests and get a clear view of your top talents' abilities faster. And assessments make the interview process smoother for everyone. Talent doesn't need you to prove themselves again, and you can dive deeper into talking about what's important to you With Indeed assessments, you can reduce hiring time by 12% according to Indeed data worldwide. So get started right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/onbrand. Get a $75 credit at Indeed.com/onbrand. Indeed.com/onbrand. Offer valid through December 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. I am thrilled that my premier guest is an icon, is an inspirational figure. Michael J. Fox, his new book, No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality, one of his fourth bestseller. Of course, Michael has won 5 Primetime Emmys, 4 Golden Globes, Screen Actors Guild, a Grammy, and his new book, of course, is a bestseller. Michael is a personal friend of mine. I'm proud to say that. I'm on his Parkinson's board. I'm proud to say that. One of the best people you will ever meet, an inspiration, and I am so thrilled to have you today, my friend.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, Donny. None of that is true, but except the friend part, we're friends. The rest of it's hyperbole. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
First, on a personal note, my heart goes out to you. You just lost your dog, Gus. I don't want to start on a somber note, but I just noticed somebody.
A little shrine to Gus behind me. Yeah, he was a good guy. He was besides all the personal stuff in our relationship, a guy's relationship with his dog is really kind of special. But as someone with a chronic illness, and when you living with a chronic illness, your life becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and it becomes just about not going out, not doing a lot. And a dog helps a person like that, but just he brings you into the world. You just have to be in the world because of your dog, and he opens up all this stuff. Gus really saved me in a lot of ways. When I was at my lowest, my son had just gone to college, and I was kind of feeling alone and thinking a lot about the Parkinson's, and then this dog showed up in my life, and it really made a big difference.
You know, we have so much to talk about. First thing I want to do, though, is, this show is on brand, and we talk about brands, and the whole premise is that everybody, everything, every institution, every religion, every celebrity is a brand. Anybody with a Facebook page is a brand. And how would you define the Michael J. Fox brand? And it's an ever-evolving brand, but if I was going to say to you, okay, brand yourself, what's the Michael J. Fox brand? How would you describe it?
I think humanist, optimistic, generally kind, and funny.
I agree with all those things. I think in really knowing you and following your career and understanding where you are now and the mission you're on now, your brand more than anything is pure optimism. And you've been in certain ways. You talk about one of your books is titled this way. The luckiest guy in the world, and you've had challenges that most people don't have. But yet, and this is obviously so much in this current book that we're going to talk about, it's all about going forward. And it's all about, hope, inspiration, the future, no matter where the present or the past was, is in front of us and is going to get better. And I've got no choice but the future. And so that you are, to me, at the essence, hope.
The last thing we run out of is the future. It's the last thing to go. So you have the future right till the very end, until there's no future, and then starts the end of another cycle, I guess. But yeah, it's just a way of looking at life that everything is an opportunity to grow. Everything is something to learn from. That I think if we look at and assess the things in our lives, and we look at them honestly, how we feel about them, and not take in what everybody else thinks. I mean, our feelings are so muted and transmutated by other people's opinions and other people's and the national zeitgeist. I mean, we just listen to ourselves and listen to what's good for us, and we'll make it through. I mean, I don't know if that's optimism or I don't know. I'm just enjoying the experience. I'm enjoying life.
You're also one of the most evolving brands. If somebody would have talked about 25 years ago your brand, there would be one of the top actors in the world, funny guy, likable guy next door, Marty McFly.
Pepsi.
And now your brand clearly is about hope and for a cure for Parkinson's. And you've been the foundation has raised over $1 billion. And that is what people see. For instance, that is what your brand the purpose now and where you are and where your mission is so overshadows the early stages of your brand.
Yeah. What I've learned now is that a lot of that stuff it's like I have a theory. I don't know. I wonder what you think about this because you're an expert on it. But I always said celebrity doesn't belong to me. I don't own my celebrity. I don't own my stardom, whatever. That belongs to the people that bestow it upon me. I mean, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's public perception is what drives whether or not I'm successful or thought of one way or another. So it's the same thing with Parkinson's and with the work pushing optimism in terms of medical research. That just is its own energy. I don't have to do anything to it. It's people are, I think, in a healthy way projecting their concerns for the future onto organizations like ours that are pushing ahead. And that maybe initially had to do with my brand, and that people knew that I take an honest crack at it, and I think it's continued on its own strength. But the brand, I mean, you go back to like the characters like Alex P. Keaton, go-getter, young conservative, relentless, and energy and positivism, and Marty McFly and all this stuff. So it fed into an image that was then really transposable to driving a research agenda.
You know, I had never thought about that, and that in terms of the correlation between kind of your essence as the face and you know, inspiration for Parkinson's, and yet the kind of, as you said, the go do it quality and secret of my success, and even some of, you know, the not huge mega movies, but you were always that guy, and the guy in Spin City, and the guy in All the Presidents, in American President, and that's fascinating. I hadn't kind of put that math together. I want to talk about celebrity a little bit, because we are such a celebrity culture now, and you know, the definition of a celebrity is completely warped. And anybody with, you know, we've got people now with 1 million followers, and because their butts are shaped a certain way, and that's a different definition of fame. You hit celebrity at a very young age. You know, you're a kid from Canada, and all of a sudden, Family Ties just blows on the scene. Talk to me about all of a sudden the feeling of going from somebody who's just a dude to somebody who, and we all know the way our culture just elevates celebrities, and all of a sudden you're something special. You're the same guy. You happen to be acting for a living, you know, and all of a sudden you're something. How do you process that as a young guy?
Well, I think it made me think of a couple of things, but I'll go at this first. I was in Hollywood for, I went down on my 18th birthday when it was 1979. And I went down and I started to work right away, did some work. And then I didn't work. And I didn't work for on and off for like 3 years. And I thought that, I always thought that as my kind of crucible. So when you think about a guy who was successful at 21, 22, the years between 18 and 21 were like my time in the desert. But comparable to other people's struggles, they're nothing, but it seemed like a lot to me. And then it seems like quite a lot when I look at someone who, like you said, has their ass is shaped a certain way, and so they become the biggest star in the world. And you go, why did I eat shit and go through all those auditions and toil and scrape if all I had to do was have a nice butt? But it was an amazing time. It was I was an 18-year-old kid from Canada, moved to Los Angeles, and in 3 years, 4 years, had a Ferrari and a house in Little Canyon. And it's too much to. What happened to me happily was I eventually met Tracy, who saw I was partying out of control. Because you can't parse what's real and what's not real at a certain point. It just gets, everything is accessible to you. I'm talking about the pure celebrity, the pure fame.
Yeah.
You can't buy a drink in a restaurant, or dinner in a restaurant, or a drink in a bar, and it warps. Tracy finally sat me down before we were even going out. We were just friends at this point. And she played me this James Taylor song called "That's Why I'm Here," where he talks about John Belushi, and she played it for me, and she said, "Remember this," and I did. Saw her a couple of years later, and asked her how her boyfriend was, and she said they'd broken up, and I said, "Look, let's go have lunch," and then we got married shortly thereafter. But she rescued me from it. I would have been a whirlpool of disaster.
And you know, so much of an essence of your book, your current book, is a love story to Tracy. And, you know, you clearly say that just she's the one that's gotten you through this. And look, Tracy's one of the greatest ladies. She's like, you look up in the dictionary like Superwoman, and there she is. You guys have 4 amazing kids together. She has been your rock. Talk to me about, I want to know, Michael, pre-Tracy, post-Tracy. Give me an asshole moment pre-Tracy where, okay, this is the 21-year-old kid with the Ferrari. I look back now, I want to smack the kid in the head. And then Tracy moment afterwards where, you know what, just there was a moment that I went from A to B and it's all Tracy.
Well, the asshole moment's easy. That was when she was doing the show. She had like 6 episodes of the show. People think she was on a lot over a couple of seasons. She just did 6 episodes of the 5th season. But she was brilliant, and so people remembered her. But we did a scene after lunch one day. We came back from lunch. We all went to lunch separately. And I stepped on the stage and did my first lines with her, and I could smell garlic. And so I just said, just being a smart ass, I said, "So it's scampi for lunch, babe?" And she looked at me and she said, "That is the meanest thing you could ever say. You are an asshole, and I don't ever want to talk to you again." And at that moment, I fell in love with her.
Why do we like it as guys when women smack us around? I don't mean literally. What is it about? What's the nerve? Because it's a great story, and it's so typical. It's the woman that, or the man, or whatever love affair is in your life that calls you on your shit, and then we fall in love. What is that? Well, what's that button?
It's the thing. Like, it's getting called into shit. It's like I don't have the burden of having to think that. Like, it lessens the danger that I believe it. And I start buying into my own bullshit. Like, someone I respect but doesn't buy into it, I go, "Yeah, you're right. That's horseshit. I shouldn't get away with that." And the moment where I really knew that we were going to go A to B together was when I told her that I was just diagnosed. I came back from the doctor with my diagnosis, and we both kind of held each other and had no idea what it meant, because at that point it was just a twitch in a pinky. And he's telling me I got 10 years left at most to work. And so I shared that with her. And at that moment, I would have felt it if she'd pulled back even that much, but she didn't. Just leaned forward, leaned into it. And she's been with me ever since.
You were 29. What'd she say to you? Do you remember what the actual words she said?
I just said, I got Parkinson's. I don't know what's going to happen. And she said, "Well, we'll see." I said, "Are you in for this?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm in."
So what, you have an unusual circumstance, but I want to ask you this just in general terms anyway, because you do have such a great marriage, and I'm somebody that hasn't gotten that right yet. What's the keys? If I went to you and said grasshopper, you was telling me grasshopper, here's the keys here. And obviously, as I said, you guys have been on a journey together that's unusual, but at the end of the day, you're still your mom and dad, you got 4 kids, you're living in New York City, you're dealing with all the problems we're dealing with and with kids and growing up. So what's the secret? What's the secret sauce?
Well, I think of a few things, and I don't know if it's a secret. I mean, the slap dad, the easy secret is to say, keep the fights clean and the sex dirty. But short of that, I think it's what Tracy calls it the benefit of the doubt. Like and I call it, don't expect to get more out than you put in. If you put in a lot, you put in all your heart and all your love and all your attention and all your energy, then you get the same thing back. At least I do. But and Tracy's point of view is that whatever I may have done to have you perceive a slight or an insult, believe me, give me the benefit of the doubt. I would never do that, and I wasn't doing that. I wasn't saying this about you're taking care of this part of the responsibility, or you're not showing up for this, or none of that stuff. It just don't waste time with it. Just stick to the big stuff, and you'll see how much you mean to each other and how much you bring to the final product.
Yeah, it's just, as I said, I get to see up close and personal, and it is a magical relationship, but she's a magical lady. Just want to go 5 minutes backwards.
Yeah, she puts up with a lot of crap.
She does put up with a lot. Everybody thinks you're such an easy guy. I'm
a handful.
I want to just go back 5 minutes, and then we're going to talk present and future. The one movie I want to focus on, Back to the Future, it's iconic. It is one of these movies where my kids at age 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 fell in love with it. And I can never get my kids to watch older movies because they say they look different. The film I'll put something on, like Breakfast Club or any of the great movies from and now it looks old. But for some reason, Back to the Future and Marty McFly just goes from generation to generation. Explain to me why that is.
Well, my kids always say it's the sound, the way people talk. People don't talk like that anymore. And a movie from it'd be Tootsie. And you say, like, this was 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But to them, that's an old movie. That's like a Gloria Swanson or something. So what is it that, when I was a kid, they used to play Wizard of Oz every Christmas. We had like 2 channels. I grew up in Canada.
Same thing.
Rural Canada. They had like 2 channels. So it was a big deal when they played it. We didn't have videos. We couldn't watch it anytime we wanted to. We could only watch it that time once a year. And we stayed up and we watched Wizard of Oz. And I always wanted to be one of the flying monkeys. And now the same kind of timeless feeling that film had, our film Back to the Future has. And I'm somebody's flying monkey.
And it's just the characters go cross-generational. You know what I mean? So in other words,
it's cross-generational, and that's what the appeal is. It's cross-generational, and it's not so much how different we are in a different time, just how similar we are, how the threads run through the characters, and I think people it's just so. It's like, to digress from this, what I say about the foundation, when people ask me about the foundation, what the secret of the foundation is, I say it's purity of motive. Purity of motive. And when you look at Back to the Future, there's a purity of motive there. It was just to entertain. There's no other agenda. There was no other mission. There was no other message. It was just to entertain. If it was funny, it was in the picture.
When you're an artist and you've had a lot of projects and most of them very successful, some obviously don't become, mega hits. Do you usually see it on the page? Do you feel it on the first day of shooting? Or maybe you don't know until after the audience reaction? Are there certain points as an artist where you go, this is a special nugget I'm playing with here?
A lot of times on films, it's the director. You spend time with the director and you get what his vision is, what he wants to do, and then you buy in and you go you run for the long ride. But Back to the Future, what was bizarre was it had a whole life before it got to me, where they'd offered it to me through the producer of my television show, Gary Goldberg, my dear friend who's since passed on. But he had the first look at this Back to the Future, and we just started our season. So he said, "I'm sorry, I can't let him out. And so he didn't let me out, and he didn't tell me about it. Which why should he have to? It just wasn't going to fly. And then they shot for 5 weeks with another actor. And then they decided it wasn't working, so they came back to me.
Who was the other actor? Can we talk about that? Or
yeah, Eric Stoltz.
Okay,
great actor.
Sure.
It was just a different take on it. I think he was a little more, perhaps methody, or a little lower energy, but probably really good. If it was a different movie, they wanted Danny Kaye or something. They wanted like
you're aging yourself for our audience.
Yeah. So I get called into Gary's office, and he tells me the story about how he'd read the script before, but now they've come back to me, and he could see that he could let me do the movie in the nighttime if I did the show in the daytime, the movie at night. And so I did. I said, "Great, I'm in." And very quickly, within a period of about 4 days, I went from not knowing about the script to being in a parking lot in Puente Hills with flames running between my legs. It just all happened very fast. And it's a big change in your life like that. They don't sneak up on you, and you don't like kind of gradually roll them out. It's like wham, boom, your life is different. And it's, do you rise to it or do you not rise to it?
Yeah, you more than anybody have extreme examples of that, as far as, very quick stardom and then all of a sudden getting hit with Parkinson's. Look, you're, I don't want to say a metaphor, but your situation in life, your extremes, your poles of superstardom, and then at a very young age getting hit with a disease, is kind of what an extreme version of what a lot of us go through in life. At the end of the day, We've got our ups, and then we've got our downs, we've got our ups, and we've got our sideways. And it's how you play with the downs. And that's been a big theme. It's been a theme in all your books. So to a guy out there who maybe didn't just get diagnosed with Parkinson's, but has either lost their job, or a woman, anybody, lost a marriage, they have a sick child, what's the wisdom from a guy that has been on both poles and has been making lemonade out of lemons, even though in his new book he talks about maybe I don't want to make any lemonade anymore. But what's the formula? What can you kind of give our folks out there who haven't led Michael's life but are doing little different versions of it?
Well, I was getting out of the lemonade business, Yeah, you covered quite a span of things. I mean, you go from the loss of a child to loss of a job. I mean, it's a big scope. So just to step away from the loss of a child for a second, because I don't have the stuff for that pain. God forbid I should ever go through it. But losing a job or even being diagnosed with an illness as soon as changes your life drastically is just don't take it personally. You try to be as objective about it as you can. And what I always say is, with Parkinson's, the way I deal with Parkinson's is I have a detente with it. I give it the space it needs, but I don't give it any more. And I leave, and it'll gradually take no matter what you do. But I know what it is, and I know where it is in my life, and I know where there's room in the rest of my life for the other things, my children, my family, my work, my dog, whatever. I reserve that space and I keep it as separate, because if I'm not honest about what my problem is, if I don't face it and look at it, the truth of it, and not kind of obfuscate and make it something else, it'll become this amorphous blob that seeps into every cranny of my life. But if I recognize it and I'm honest about it, it stays static.
Just picking up on that, it's interesting how you said, okay, I keep it there. I don't necessarily own it. I keep it separate. Yet in your case, it's with you. I'm with you, and you're walking, and you're challenged, and your body is doing things. So in your case, how do you talk to me about the mental exercise, the jujitsu that you do? Because it is so omnipresent. Whereas, let's say I lost my job, and it's like, okay, I'm down. I can do other things, but the losing my job is not literally part of my physicality. So what's the exercise? What's the tools you use to make that happen?
Well, it can become part of your physicality if, for example, if it leads to depression, it can actually change your body chemistry, your obsession or your concern about something like losing a job. But I think for me, what I like, one of the things, like after having had this back surgery, and I couldn't walk, and I had to learn to walk, and literally learn to walk, transfer weight from one foot to the other, strike the heel on my foot, and transfer the weight under my toes, and then roll it back the other way. And I mean, just looking at walking from an Arthur Murray dance studio point of view, one foot after the other, and what happens is that you get so caught up in the mechanics of every movement of every time I get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, it's an existential experience, because I don't know that I'm going to make it. Not in the way of make it to get to the bathroom, but make it not fall over and crack my head open. And I see it through my family. They so concerned that I'll fall down and I'll be concerned, and I just bounce back up again, because that's what I do. And I realize that I'm having a different experience than everybody else. Everybody else is seeing me, the Mike they know, going through whatever I'm going through. I've got a schnauzer on my pant leg. I'm like dealing with the immediate minutes, seconds, and moments of these things. And so I don't relate it to any other experience. So therefore it just is what it is. I don't say I'm having trouble walking. It sucks because I used to not have trouble walking. I don't think about that. I mean, whether I used to not have trouble walking is irrelevant. Now I got to concentrate on what I'm doing. And so I find that my life is a lot less cluttered by bullshit, because I have to deal with the realities of every step.
Watching you, we went to, with a group of guys, went to a boxing match when you were able to go to a boxing match a year ago, and we were sitting outside, and you got up and you stumbled a little bit, and I just grabbed your arm, and it becomes a non-event, at least to somebody who's witnessing. It's okay, Michael, there's a struggle walk and a little kaboom. It's
and that's the way I hope it is.
Yeah, it really becomes, and we smiled, we laughed at each other. I went, "Oops, you almost went down," but I didn't, and it was just that was it. It was a non-event.
That's why you guys are my friends.
Yeah, I make fun of you. I'll always say, you're doing this shit for attention, and you own it. Yeah, and if you're in your world, you have to own it with you. Not you have to, you just do, and it just becomes. If you're just, if you're a guy with an accent or whatever it is, it's just you. It's just Michael.
That's what I'm saying. It's just you accept it as it is. I can't make it something else. I can't warp it into something less or something more or something that affects me in a different way. It is what it is. It just is. It's just there, and so it's life plus that. I never viewed it. I guess that's the key thing. I never viewed it as life minus what I've lost because of it. So I always looked at my life plus what I've gained because of it. So I've gained. My life would be completely different if I didn't have Parkinson's, and I don't think it would be as effective and as engaging a life.
You'd be just another asshole actor, right?
Yeah, just another asshole actor with a house in Beverly Hills and 3 ex-wives and 14 kids I don't speak to.
You
instead of what.
By the way, you got some of the best kids around, and your family is so tight. Last few minutes, I just like to do what I call the brand audit, where I'll throw out a name or a thing, and just react to me with either a word or a set of words or an essence, or just what pops to mind at the essence of their brand. That's the first one I'm going to say is Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, honest.
Muhammad Ali.
Incandescent.
George Stephanopoulos, who's a friend of yours.
Straight shooter.
The USA.
Home.
Larry David.
Twisted.
Hollywood.
An idea.
Canada.
Home. Mom.
Parkinson's.
Transient.
Michael J. Fox.
Transition. Happy. In spite of the circumstances.
My friend.
Happy anyway.
I like happy because you're going to make a lot of our listeners happy today. The book is No Time Like the Future, an optimist considers mortality. Michael, thank you so much. I know your time is valuable, and I know you did me a personal favor coming on. Thanks for helping us launch On Brand. It was just fantastic, just inspirational.
Donny, I always love talking to you, no matter the setting or the time or the place. You're a good man. You do well.
Have a great day, my friend. I hope you enjoyed our kind of revisit with Michael J. Fox. I know I did. Now, next week, we've got a best of show. We're going to be, please tune in. We're going to be showing you and listening to, you can listen to some of our favorite guests, some of the greatest things they said. We've had an amazing array of guests, and some of you, we're going to have a bunch of your favorites next week, taking the best clips from each one of them, putting them together. I think it's going to be a very motivational, very interesting, very informative show. It's a good way if you've missed any of to catch them up, and get the best nuggets of each show. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe anywhere you get podcasts. And please, we want your comments. We want your input. We really want your engagement. So don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, give us comments. Also watch on YouTube. Please subscribe there. Give us your comments there. And have a great week. And tune in for our best of next week. And hope everybody's having a great holiday season. Everybody, thanks for watching. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. And we love having you here watching On Brand. And just don't miss any future episodes. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.